Welcome to another in the series of Mystical Perspectives. I'm your host, Reverend Cindy Paulus, and we've been going over this one book for a year, Spiritual Mind Power Affirmations, with practical, mystical, and spiritual inspiration applied to your life. And today's subject is one that's really important. It's about practicing mystical oneness with God daily. And this is such an important commitment. I've been doing this meditation and mystical oneness with God daily most all my life since I've been 14 years old. And we're going to go into how important that is and why it's so important and do a meditation on this subject. But first, as we always do, we go over affirmations. This book, Spiritual Mind Power Affirmations, is written by Dr. Paul Leon Master, who founded the University of Metaphysics and Institute of Metaphysics and University of Sedona. And you can find out about that organization, metaphysics.com. If you go there, there's all the information there. And all of his 3 books are on Amazon.com. Now, let's go into the affirmations about practicing mystical oneness with God daily. First, of course, is an important affirmation, meditation, because that's the key here. Through my daily practice of meditation, my surface level of mind is either in conscious or unconscious contact with universal consciousness or God in an inner state of oneness. Now, this is an important subject, of course. Meditation is when we take time to connect with that universal consciousness or God. And when we do this, we are either really in that conscious or superconscious or collective unconscious or the highest cosmic consciousness with God. Or we can even be in unconscious state, but having the intention to be aware that part of us is there, right? So repeating this one, through my daily practice of meditation, my surface level mind is either in conscious or unconscious contact with universal consciousness or God in an inner state of oneness. Now, another interesting thing about meditation is meditation's a time to set an intention, to receive messages, to commune with God, to be re-energized and renewed. And it's a time to always, it's a sacred time, really. It's a sacred time to be one with God. And I find it very interesting because decades and decades and decades of doing this, and you know what? It's never the same. It's never the same twice. Sometimes it's absolute ecstasy and bliss, and sometimes it just feels like I'm just sitting and nothing's happening, and it's all good and it's all okay and it's all part of the process, So the idea is not to ever give up, but to make it a lifetime commitment to meditate daily. And it's even better if you can do it a couple of times a day, in the morning and at night. And if possible, maybe even, do some yoga or something during the day and connect then as well. The next affirmation is visualization. Every day, I take a few moments to visualize or imagine that the entirety of the interior of my body is filled with God's light presence. And I am one with that presence. Now, here's the visualization thing. It's very important, and that power of that visualization is really bringing light into being. So this light actually re-energizes and renews and restores our cells, our organs, our entire body. And as we visualize it, it increases that. Repeating this affirmation every day, I take a few moments to visualize or imagine that the entirety of the interior of my body is filled with God's light presence, and I am one with that presence. The next affirmation's on awakening. Awakening, awakening, awakening. It's all about awakening, isn't it? In many levels. Daily upon awakening from sleep, I affirm and declare that I live this day in mystical oneness with God. Now, this is the state that's really sacred, right? After you awaken, you've been in the higher levels of consciousness, you're setting your energy and your intent and focus for the day. So immediately when you awaken, you affirm and declare that you live this day in mystical oneness with God. That's taking it and joining with the one source and turning that energy you have over to God. And it's very, very great. I do this every morning. And it really does change the way you think and the way you live as well. And the next one's retiring daily. When I'm ready to retire to sleep, I affirm and declare that during sleep I am in mystical oneness with God. So this is really important. You can also do this with light around you and do the unity prayer protection, which is powerful as well. Retiring is a time where you actually are again sending an intention to where you are going in higher states of consciousness. So daily when I am ready to retire to sleep, I affirm and declare that during sleep, I am in mystical oneness with God. Now during sleep daily, my mind is influenced by my oneness with God, for guidance and thoughts are planted in my subconscious for coming forth into my surface mind level. Now, we have many, many levels, and everyone's heard of the REM state, the rapid eye movement, but there are many, many more levels where you go into astral consciousness, higher consciousness. A lot happens during sleep that we really never remember. And there are ways to develop, of course, more awareness about what is going on during sleep. You sometimes can have a guide book on the side of your bed and you can write down your impressions when you wake up. But that's another whole subject. But repeating the affirmation during sleep daily, I know my mind is influenced by my oneness with God, for guidance and thoughts are planted in my subconscious for coming forth into my surface mind level. The next affirmation is release. Daily I affirm and declare that I choose to live my life in oneness with God and God's will for my life, and so release my personal ego self to live my universal selfhood united with God. So this is where we actually do truly become an instrument for God's will. And we allow that energy and we allow that oneness and guidance of basically of our Creator to direct our life. And this comes with the daily affirmation that we do in meditation or during our beginning of our day. So repeating this release daily, I affirm and declare that I choose to live my life in oneness with God and God's will for my life, and so release my personal ego self to live my universal selfhood united with God. So this is what Christ and many of the masters actually did. When you achieve Christ consciousness, you stay in that state where you're aware and you are one with God's will. But if you are not at that point, and most of us are not at that point, then this is the next best thing, is to directing our affirmations and declarations to be working with God's will for your life. Oh, this is a big one. The next one, at meals. Daily at every meal, I take time in my own mind or in some other way to acknowledge that the food before me is made possible by my oneness with God. Now, how many of us have kind of stress issues or eat without thinking or awareness? If you take the time to bless and look at the food and become aware that in some way that food before you is made possible by your oneness with God, God's the creator. God's creative energy is alive in everything. And when you recognize it in the food and you recognize it in your body temple, then you're transforming it and putting energy into it, the mana that you need to make this food work for you properly. So repeating this one daily at every meal, I take time in my own mind or in some other way to acknowledge that the food before me is made possible by my oneness with God. And the next is accomplishing daily. All that I do or accomplish is as a result of my oneness with God, to whom I give credit as having been the true doer for all achieved. So this is, remember what Christ said, it's not me but the Father within me that doeth the works. And I'll change that to add also Father, Mother, because even Christ in Aramaic says Father, Mother, God. So daily, all that I do or accomplish is as a result of my oneness with God, to whom I give credit as having been the true doer for all achieved. And lastly, love and blessings. Daily I take a few moments in my awareness of my eternal oneness with God to send forth into the atmosphere the love and blessing of God's presence to everyone, everywhere. What a gift that is. This is a perfect thing to do again in morning during meditation or at night before you go to sleep. It's a prayer of sorts. Daily I take a few moments in my awareness of my eternal oneness with God to send forth into the atmosphere the love and blessing of God's presence to everyone, everywhere. And this again is recognizing that we are all one. We are all God's creatures. We are all part of that energy from the one source of all, right? We're going to be going over some thoughts about this here and some of the benefits of daily practicing mystical oneness with God. As I mentioned, I've been doing this every day, and it's very interesting to me. I've practiced mystic Christianity and also Zen, and all the paths lead to the one, but sometimes we need the energy of a certain path to help develop what we need. But it's interesting in Zen when I would sit there, how many people would come and really we're used to instant gratification in this day and age, even more so, you know. In the spiritual practice, there's no fast food spiritual practice. You know, a lot of people say you can be enlightened in 30 seconds, you know. Yes, you can, but it's not up to you. That's up to God. And there's no tricks to do that. It's when you're really ready, when you're really open, when you really take the time, when you really are at that point where you can do and get that energy and use it properly. So that's up to God. That's not up to any of those people who promise you instant enlightenment or awakening. That's really up to when you are in your karmic path ready to be in that place. But it's the daily practice and the journey. You know, so many people say it's not getting to where you're going on the trip. It's the path. It's the journey getting there. And this is one thing that a lot of people are not aware of. It's that daily practice and that daily connection that guides you and molds you and sculpts you and offers you some very interesting gifts you never even might have imagined that come when you are connecting with God daily. I've had so many gifts come. Since I've been very, very young, 13, 14, I've been meditating daily, and I've always written down after I meditate what comes to me. And so I have thousands and thousands and thousands of messages and prayers and guidance that has come to me through the years. And it's pretty amazing by just doing that daily how it builds up. I mean, from that, of course, now I have 6 books and 6 CDs that have come through that. And this is something that happens in the daily practice when you merge that daily, everyday connection to God. And you learn slowly and develop slowly the way to develop your sacred tools of God's love. You learn compassion through living this life. You learn how important forgiveness is. You learn how you need to be non-judgmental. You learn understanding. You learn goodness and kindness and how they work. You learn how to be inspired and creative. You learn to truly love as God loved. And it's not an instant thing. And it doesn't work instantaneously. You can achieve cosmic consciousness, and you can change your perspective with that. But then, if you do, you still have to maintain that lessons and all that you've learned in way of living in your everyday life. And that takes constant daily maintenance as well. So that's why, even if you are enlightened, you need to practice mystical oneness with God daily. So this is applied to everyone, right? When we connect to God in meditation and that mystical oneness, we reinforce all that opening. And there's more than one moment of enlightenment. There's many, many moments. And one time of enlightenment is just one stage. And there can be other initiations happening as well. And again, that is developed over time. And that's developed with each step on each day and on the path towards our final merging with God when we release our body here and get back to the oneness of God. So this really is a lifetime daily practice, and it takes that kind of understanding and commitment. There's many ways to do it, but once you really get the value of being plugged in and connected to the one source of all every day, you realize that that is the only way you can really live as a servant of God, is by definitely reinforcing that and reuniting and helping to release anything that you may have accumulated that's darkness, and you have to go back into the light and be born again daily in the light. See, when we're reflecting God, we are all connected to the Creator. We're all just really true blossoms from the one mystic face that is held forth right here in this very time and space, reflecting our relation to the Spirit that's alive within all of us in the human race. And there's many, many ways to connect right now, more than ever before. Think of all the social media, all of the ways you can share and connect. And we have to try to share and connect, not with shortcuts, but with patience and kindness and with love. We're mirrors of this universe, and we really can just get up in the morning and see the beauty of the sunrise, the beauty in every living thing. And we can see the palette that God works upon, the creations of art that are so beautiful. We can hear with the bird song and life, the symphony of sounds that are alive within us. I mean, we can be inspired just being quiet and listening to that beauty that is there in nature. We can breathe in the air. We can feel the wind. We can find that spirit that surrounds us. So, and we are given that option to clear our minds and really see the good that is offered every single day. So, and we can take a moment, which is important, to count our blessings, to really be grateful for this opportunity to be here right now as a reflection, a mirror for God's love and light. Let's take a moment and go into meditation. Let's relax and find a way to sit with your back erect and your feet on the floor or crossed. And let's just breathe in that oneness of all, that mystical light of God's presence in our life. Breathe that in, breathe in the light, and breathe out anything that doesn't serve that light within you. Breathe in love and fill the body with gratitude as you breathe out the gratitude for being an instrument for God's love. Breathe deeply, hold the breath, breathe out, release and let go. Breathe in and go into that place where you can turn your will over to God's will. Breathe out, Let go of any of your egoic attachments. Go deeper within your mind's eye and see that spirit light that's present there. Let that light come into your crown chakra and fill your head and your throat. Let it align you and come down now into your heart center and feel your heart opening and rolling away the stone of separation and opening itself up to the true love of the Christ presence that is the source of all love within. Breathe that love in and feel it expanding in your heart and filling your entire body, mind, and soul. And connect with that one source of all that's giving you this love now, and send this love out to the world, to all beings, to the entire planet. See it circling the planet, removing the darkness, bringing light to all the points of power around the world. See the world becoming enlightened. Breathe in that moment where you see that you are part of that one enlightened spirit. You are blessed by this one love, this unconditional love of God. Feel that love coming back to you 100 million-fold. See this love now as the true answer to your needs, to all and everything that you have asked for ever, present there in you as you love yourself as God loves you. And as you do this, realize you can work to love others as well, to send your love to their hearts with compassion and understanding. The reason that you are really here, to serve God and others with love, as that love is given to you, so can it be given to others. Feel that love, become that love, be that love, accept that love, bathe in the light of that pure love, alive right now in this body, mind, and soul, in communion with the one who is the I am. Feel that oneness completely aligning you as a servant of light and love. And now know that you are the living light of love, and you know your true purpose, and that you are connected and merged in mystical oneness on all levels with God. Slowly allow yourself to come out of meditation. Breathe in and let yourself feel that love that's come through your entire cellular structure, your mind and your emotions. And be grateful to God for this loving presence. We'll end now with the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer. Father, Mother of the cosmos, shimmering light of all, focus your light within us as we breathe your holy breath. Enter the sanctuary of our hearts, uniting within us the sacred rays of your power and beauty. Let your heart's desire unite heaven and earth through our sacred union. Help us fulfill what lies within the circle of our lives today. Forgive our secret fears as we freely choose to forgive the secret fears of others. Let us not enter into forgetfulness, tempted by false appearances. For from your astonishing fire comes the eternal song, which sanctifies all, renewed eternally in our lives and throughout creation. We seal these words in our hearts, committed in trust and faith. The talk today was based on Dr. Paul Leon Masters' book, Spiritual Mind Power Affirmations, which is practical, mystical, and spiritual inspiration that can be applied to your life. It's 130 pages of affirmations that really plant wonderful seeds in your life to help change your life for good, to help you with universal mind guidance. You can go to a great site, metaphysics.com, explore all of the options there. You might even want to become a metaphysical minister or get your doctorate. It's all available there at metaphysics.com. And if you wish to get the book, you can go to amazon.com and go put in Dr. Paul Leon Masters. And there's Mystical Insights. And there's also this book, Spiritual Mind Power Affirmations, and there's Meditation Dynamics there as well. I have over 50 different talks I've done, and you can listen to any of them for free at a site I created called Mystical Perspectives. That's with an S. mysticalperspectives.com. mysticalperspectives.com. I thank you so much for taking the time to be here and to listen today and to find out more about what's going on with the mystical oneness and our daily practice of connecting with God. God bless you each and every moment of the day.